Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This is the English translation of the Majlis of Hazrat Maulana Qamar Saheb Damat Barakatuhum, which took place on Monday morning at Baitul Azkar in Wasiabad, Allahabad, UP, India. Monday, the 19th of Shawwal, 1445, the English date, 29th of April, 2024. Hazrat Wala starts off by quoting the ayat, or portion of the ayat of the Quran Majid, Hasbi Allahu la ilaha illahu, alayhi tawakkaltu wa huwa rabbul arshil azim. Allah is sufficient for me. There is none worthy of worship but Him. On Him only do I rely, and He is the Rabb of the glorious throne. Hazrat Abu Darda radiyallahu ta'ala an relates that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam has mentioned that that person who morning and evening recites 7 times Hasbi Allahu la ilaha illahu alayhi tawakkaltu wa huwa rabbul arshil azim, then it would suffice for him from every sorrow, grief of the dunya and the akhirat. Now Hazrat Wala is saying that we should recite this year with complete and total focus and attention, puri tawajjuh ke saath. And then we would have complete and total hifazat. Halat and conditions are coming upon us such that insan and people by and large are absolutely restless and pareshan. Allah Ta'ala protect us from all these type of things. Allah Ta'ala creates strength in our heart. And especially in our iman as well. And more so if a person has a long life. Then all the more he's supposed to have taraqqi, improvement, advancement, progress in his iman and in his heart. So this year is for everyone. We should at least recite it a few times, whether a person is young or old, whether he is alim or jahil. It is for one and all. We see what's happening. In few moments, shops are brought down to the ground, business complexes, etc. And great prominent people, they are no more. They passed away, due to which these type of hawadisat, calamities, things coming on us. Now Allah Ta'ala protect us. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam gave the ummah this ta'aleem, that we can turn and focus our attention to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and when we do this, then most definitely we would be protected. And if we read it from our hearts, then most definitely we would take the full benefit of it. We reading it, however, not with the desired amount from the heart, not with the meaning, and not with the true trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If we do so, then the protection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be with us always. Now it's written in the kitabs, we read it, we listen to it, but how many of us are actually practicing on it? Allah Ta'ala give us the tawfiq and the hidayat of reading it with iman. This is a hadith, but Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam is talking from the side of Allah. وَمَا يَنْطِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ. He does not speak from his desires. إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيُ يُوحَىٰ. Rather it is revelation that is coming down to him. A person came to Hazrat Tanvi and he started speaking about this and that and the other. He was very worried. If this happens, then what will we do? And if that happens, then how is this going to work out? Then Hazrat Tanvi then said to him that, are you dying before you actually have died? Are you mutu qabla an tamutu? Before we have even come to that, you're already finishing yourself up in stress and anxiety. Why don't you put your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? You're already thinking that in front, this is going to happen and that is going to happen and the rest. Hazrat Maulana Abrarul Haq, on one occasion, in front of us, these waqiyas Hazrat Wala is speaking about, he says that he told someone to read this and to read that. Nevertheless, after some short while, he asked the person that this or that or the other. He said, no, I read it for a few days and I abandoned it. I left it out. Now, how will progress come? How would you be protected, etc.? So, apni side to jari rakhna chahiye. Effort from your side should be continuous and you should continue with that. Hazrat Wala is saying, somehow or the other, every person, some more, some less, is in some type of worry and some type of grief. Now Allah Ta'ala bless us with yaqeen and true trust in Him that we recite these wazaif from our hearts. Now here we're learning that such a short ayat of the Quran Majid brings for us or is sufficient for us regarding all our worries, sorrow and grief of the dunya and the akhirat. Why is it? How is it? وَهُوَ رَبُّ الْعَرْشِ الْعَظِيمِ वो रब है अर्श अजीम का और अर्श अजीम मरकज़ निज़ाम कायनात है. He, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is the owner of the grand throne. And it is from the grand throne, which is the nizam, which is the center point of the whole universe, of everything that is created. It actually is the center point. Everything comes from there and everything is working from there, from the instruction, from the arsh, the grand arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah is the owner, Allah is the Rabb of that arsh. The resolutions, the decisions of both the worlds come from that very point and that center, the arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When a person connects himself with the owner, with the Rabb of the grand throne, then what are we actually saying? He has put his trust in Allah and he has sought refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is the owner of the grand throne, who is the Rabb of the grand throne. Then what type of worry, what type of grief can ever be left after that? Jo to जी तू मेरा तो सब मेरा, फलक मेरा ज़मी मेरी. अगर एक तू नहीं मेरा तो कोई shay nahi meri. So, Allah, if you are mines, then everything is mines. The heavens and the earth and everything in front of me. And if you are not there for me, then I have nothing. Ibn Najjar has written in his Tarikh, he narrates that Hazrat Hussain radiyallahu ta'ala has mentioned that person who reads 7 times in the morning, Hasbi Allahu la ilaha illahu, alayhi tawakkaltu wa huwa rabbul arshil azim. Then, in that day or in that night when he had read it, no restlessness and no type of a musibat or calamity will come upon him, and neither would he drown. Therefore, we should read these Mubarak Kalimat. It was the practice of our saintly elders as well. Allah Ta'ala hum sabko uski tawfiq ata farmaye. Ameen. Allah Ta'ala give us all the tawfiq and hidayat of making amal on that. Now, in the next surhi and subheading that's there, Nasaih and Nabawiya, prophetic advices. It comes in the hadith, An Abi Dharr radiyallahu ta'ala an, narrated from Abu Dharr radiyallahu ta'ala an, that he says, دخلت على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. I entered upon Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم. And then he mentioned after that the hadith bitulihi, with all of it, until he came to the point where he said, قلت, I said, O Rasul of Allah, Ya Rasulullah, awsini, give me advice. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam then gave him 7 advices. The first one was that usika bitaqwallah fa innahu azyanu li amrika kulli. I advise you with the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because if you do that, all your matters would be beautified, all your matters would be in its place. The second point or nasihat that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam gives him was that when he said, Zidni, increase for me, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Alayka bi tilawati al-Quran wa dhikrillah azza wa jal, fa innahu dhikrun laka fis sama wa nurun laka fil ard. That make incumbent upon you the recitation of the Quran and the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for it will be a means of your mention in the heavens and a means of nur for you here on earth. He went on to say, O Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, increase for me. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to him, Alayka bituli samt, fa innahu matradatun li shaitan wa awnun laka ala amri dinik. That remain silent continuously or for long periods of time. Because if you do that, shaitan will even fear you, and it will be a means of madad and help for you in your matters of deen. He said, O Rasul of Allah, increase me. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Iyaka wa dhihk. Beware of laughing, because it kills the heart and it removes the nur of the face. O Rasul of Allah, increase me. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to him, Qulil haqq, say the truth. وَإِن كَانَ مُرًّا, even though it may be better. He went on to say, O Nabi of Allah, increase me. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, لَا تَخَفِّ اللَّهِ لَوْمَةَ لَائِمٍ, that when it comes to what you have to do and what you have to say, then do not fear any person who taunts you regarding your deen. Do not fear that person. He said, O Nabi of Allah, increase me. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam then said to him that it is sufficient for you to know about your own nafs, and then you would keep your attention on your own nafs. Okay, let's continue. Another hadith here. An Abi Umama radiyallahu ta'ala an, narrated from Abu Umama radiyallahu ta'ala an, قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أنا زعيم ببيت في ربض الجنة لمن ترك المراء وإن كان محقا. That I am guaranteeing a place in the center of Jannah for the person who leaves out argumentation even though he is right. وَبِبَيْتٍ فِي وَسَطِ الْجَنَّةِ, and I am guaranteeing a palace or a room or a place for him in the center of Jannah for the one who leaves out lies, even though he may just be joking, and a place for him in the highest portion of Jannah for the person who has good character. Now look here, that how much of benefit and merit there is for the one who has good character. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself said that I was commissioned to bring good character to its ultimate, to its highest point, to perfection. Now, in such a short period of time, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had passed on to the ummah so much in such a short period of time. In the next hadith, we learn that خيركم من تعلم القرآن وعلمه. The best amongst you is the one who learns the Quran and teaches the Quran. In the next narration, خيركم من ذكركم بالله رؤيته وزاد في علمكم منطقه ورغبتكم في الآخرة عمله. That the best amongst you is the one who reminds you of Allah. When you look at him, it just reminds you of Allah. His speech increases you in amal, and his amal increases you in enthusiasm for the akhirat. Allah Ta'ala give us the tawfiq and the hidayat of making amal. Let us make dua. Allahumma inna nas'aluka khayra hadha al-yawm wa khayra ma ba'dahu. Allah Ta'ala keep us established and firm on the deen. Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala bless us with His rida and with His pleasure. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم بحرمة سيد النبي الكريم صلى الله عليه وسلم.